2. We're going.
Welcome everybody. It's Kemper Woodruff. I got Zack Sampson with me. This is my boy.
Always.
We're back for Dawn Talk. Is this
It's 4.
episode? All right, episode 4. Thank you, Zack, for remembering that.
Yeah.
I got lost because right now Zack went to go get some food per usual. You've watched the first couple episodes. Um,
Yeah.
and in the meantime, my brain got to wandering, and I was like, how in the hell did Stallone stay warm while filming Rambo First Blood? And so I started looking it up, and so far I can't find anything, but these questions people also ask on Google are actually good for once. So one is, did Stallone do his own stunts? And apparently, the answer is for the scene where Rambo jumps off the cliff and injures himself on some tree branches on the way down. Stallone performs the stunt himself during the third bottom of the fall, and in the process, broke one of his own ribs when he landed on the tree branch.
Oh.
Now, I have to say that's one of the most hilarious reading descriptions ever. The bottom third of the fall. What happened to the motherfucker performing the first 2/3 of this ball?
That's kind of what I was
That
thinking too. I was like,
sounds
wait,
like it was
so.
some stuntman's ass right there, bro. He just fucking got maxed out. They're like, tag Stallone in. So rest in peace to that guy.
Yeah.
No one's talking about him. Um, How was Stallone trained for Rambo? Stallone himself appears in his iconic Rambo headband and expansive 80s hair, saying, "It was about 8 months of training 4 hours a day to toughen myself up." He describes taking SWAT combat, archery courses, and survivalist courses, and looking to technical advisors to keep him and the Rambo story honest. That's fucking awesome.
That is pretty dope.
Let's see. Al Pacino was supposed to be Rambo,
What?
but he turned it down. He felt that Rambo wasn't eccentric or crazy enough. Huh.
Interesting.
Uh, I guess some guy named James Garner, a Korean War veteran with 2 Purple Hearts, also turned it down as he felt the lead character represented veterans poorly. That
Mm,
is interesting. Huh. I'd like to interview that guy.
that'd be a cool talk.
Yeah. Because, I mean, I only grew up on, like, the glamour of Rambo. Like, we used to do
Yeah.
great, like, there's moments when you're telling your own stories to people, and you're watching their reactions that you realize, like, you're not normal. And
Okay.
I love that shit. Like, this is a perfect example. So, like, when I was little, my brother, we watched Rambo, like, way too young. I was watching that movie when I was, like 3. All later on, y'all hear about more of my upbringing and be like, that's why he is the way he is. But so we watched Rambo, and I remember there's a scene where he makes spikes on like the tree branches, and he makes like a pit full of spikes or some shit. And so my brother must have saw this when we were little, and he loved digging holes. My brother would dig holes in the
Oh
yard,
no.
right? And so I think this is what kicked it off because he would dig these holes and then he would cover them up and he would punch me in the face like I'd be playing somewhere and he'd come up and he'd punch me in the face and just take off running and he's chopping and he'd be looking back at me and chopping, running this way and that way. And fucking one time he ran me into one of these holes and it was a good one. It was super deep. My whole entire like leg twisted. My whole leg was
Oh,
purple, but like, yeah, bro, it was crazy. From my hip down was literally purple, and like to this day, it's like my leg will be straight, but my foot will be like over here. Crazy.
damn.
Yeah, we never went to the hospital on that one, but yeah, that was. I remember thinking about that. Like that fucker got me. Like, damn, that really works, bro.
The
Yeah,
worst movie I watched as a kid was the Exorcism of Emily Rose. I was like 8 years old, and my brother like forced me to watch it. And, dude, I couldn't go into a dark room without reaching around the corner and turning on a light for it until I was like 15 because of that
Dude,
movie.
my brother used to play the X Files. I don't know. For anyone that hasn't genuinely like gone through and watched the X Files, it's an old show, but it holds up, bro. If you watch that show is freaky. Go watch the X Files in the dark for long enough.
In the dark.
Like some of it, you'll be like, get that shit out of here. But some of it is so outlandish, like it just sneaks up on you.
Yeah.
Once you get immersed in that show, bro, yeah, it's real deal. I remember there was a episode where a dude stuffed himself in like a vent, and he's just like looking through the vent, but he was like some weird contortionist dude.
What?
Yeah, and it freaked me out,
That's
bro, when I was
crazy.
little.
There was a
And I
scene.
don't know.
There was a
Yeah.
character like that in The Flash TV show.
Hmm.
Like a contortionist, and it was like the guy who played that character was like a real contortionist who could like he went on like America's Got Talent or some shit, and
Mm-hmm.
the guy's insane, and he came out of a vent in the movie too, or the TV show. Pretty interesting.
Huh.
Contortionists are crazy people, bro. They're
Reoccurring themes. Who'd have known? Vents were there like claim to fame in fucking film. Yeah, the first time I ever really saw like, well, no, I'm not gonna say ever really saw contortionist stuff because my mom took me to like Cirque du Soleil when I was really little, and that was so cool. It was something weird. It was down on the waterfront in tents, and I just remember, um, like they had the lights out in the whole place, and these people came through with like orbs, and it looked almost like a hula hoop, but it was like metal or something. It had to be steel. And they were all like moving around it. And they were in like all black suits, but they had like, I don't know, like lights on their hands or something that they could turn on. And
Oh
they would
yeah,
go off in the crowd and like steal people's things. Like they would return them.
yeah,
But like if you were wearing a hat, they'd take your hat, and go
yeah.
do like these different things. Yeah. So, but I say that to get to this. The first time that I really was like freaked out by contortionist shit, it was my friend, and it was the first time I ever took shrooms, and I was like sitting down on 62nd and Foster, and so I'm like outside of this tango club on a bench, and I had gone down there to get some Sunny D because vitamin C like helps intensify the like effects of mushrooms, and I was like, hell yeah, like I'd grown up listening to Mac Dre and shit, so like I've always wanted to try this shit, right? And so I'm sitting there, and I'm waiting for these shrooms to kick in. I've already taken them. It's the 4th of July, so it had just gotten dark. And my friend is like contorting himself around and through almost like a figure eight in these bike stands. So there's like two little bike stands. They look like staples sticking out of the ground. And I'm like waiting for the shrooms to kick in. And you know how shrooms get all like wavy and depth
Yeah.
gets weird? So I'm sitting there and I'm like getting nervous and I'm like, oh, and all of a sudden he starts freaking me out. And I look at the like sign from Round Table and it says like some kind of like crazy shit on it. And I was like, what the fuck? And I was like, bro, I was like, you need to stop. And he was like, stop what? And I was like, you're being weird right now. And he's like, nah, dude, you're actually being weird. And I was like, you're freaking me out. And he didn't stop. So I literally just took off running, bro. And I
Damn.
ran back to my friend's house. And I just remember like the shrooms kicking in, and I was so disoriented that every family, like, because it's dark and everyone's lighting off fireworks and shit, every, like, each group, each house that I ran by, it was like every 3 houses or so, I'd stop and be like, is this my friends? Like, trying to, like, figure it out. And people who were looking at me like fucking weirdo. And I'd take off running again. Yeah, bro, shrooms can be intense. And I got to my friends, and they were listening to this dubstep song called Sierra Leone. I can't even remember who did it, but it was awesome. And my friend had like just tried Molly for the first time. So he's like laughing and he puts the headphones on me. And this other kid who is a friend of mine, he blew up his cell phone. Like he had been spending all afternoon crafting this like homemade like firework bomb basically out of like piccolo peats and all different kinds of stuff. You know, just typical like if you just imagine like a bad kid, like
Yeah.
that was kind of like us, you know, like little bad kids. And on some crazy next level Bart Simpson shit. He built this shit all afternoon. So it was like a Dasani bottle, like filled to the brim with that shit. And he ran out in the middle of the street. And when he was lighting it, he forgot his phone there. And he comes running back. So I'm putting this song, I'm putting the headphones on. And it's like, ooh, ah, like making this crazy,
Oh
like
my God.
dubstep. And it just goes. And literally, when this thing exploded, I shit you not, both sides of the curbs, like on both edges of the street, just turned into like a half pipe of sparks. Like I don't know how they hit the edge and just like
Damn.
went up like that, but it literally looked like a half pipe of like Technicolor sparks. Just boom. And he was like, "Where's my phone?" And then he's like, "Oh shit!" And it was like all exploded. It was crazy. Yeah,
That's
and I just
insane.
remember, yeah, that was like one of the first time. Well, no, that was the first time I ever did shrooms. I wound up puking shortly after that.
Damn.
Yeah, I like fell out on someone's lawn, and then my friend came and picked me up, and we were like hotboxing in his car. And I swear to you, we smoked a whole ounce of weed without opening like the fucking car doors. And it was so foggy and like we couldn't breathe. And it was like you can only see like
That's why
this
you
far.
threw up.
No, I threw up before that. Like
Oh,
I caught
okay.
the
I was about to
stench.
say, dude,
Like
you were
yeah.
uncomfortably high. No wonder you threw up.
Well,
I've
yeah.
almost thrown
It
up
was.
just off of marijuana, dude. Like, I'm just like,
It's just like we grew up in like what would be considered like toxic bro culture. You know
of
what I
course.
mean? Like if
Yeah.
your friends were like jocks and then turned to like drugs or something, you know? So like this was their sport, like who can drink the most, who can do this, that, and the other, you know,
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. And if you couldn't do it, it was like pussy, you know,
Yeah.
which is just kind of natural. As dudes, we just do this, you know. Um, but the level of severity that we took it to was always like next level, and I didn't really have a way of gauging it because oftentimes like I would sit out like um even shrooms, whatever it was,
Yeah.
um and then so when I would go to do it, it was like I would have no frame of reference. One time I did like 10.5 grams of shrooms, and I had no clue how much like 1 gram of shrooms was, or like what an eighth was. Like I knew what it looked like in a baggie, but I didn't know like what that contained in a universe. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
In an experience. Um, so yeah, it's like when you're in that culture, sometimes just being unfamiliar with it, you can actually like have these wild ass experiences. And thank goodness, like I was always safe, and it was for the most part like almost always fun.
Hmm.
Was it necessarily like productive in the sense that most people like to look at and measure productivity? Probably not. But if you're looking at like life experience and like getting to know yourself, like I do think that psychedelics are a great way to go. But I don't think everyone's brains are like right for them. I don't think everyone's emotions in certain moments are ready for what they're about to encounter. Um, but I think far more good than harm comes out of most people trying
Yeah.
these things. Like they
I
don't
think
want
it's
to.
more of like you got to do it at the right time because there's a lot of people, a lot of people that I've been listening to lately who do it later in life where they've kind of already figured themselves out and they don't have as much stress going on. Like they might have stress from trauma or something, other problems that they have to work out, but it's not from their entire life. Like they're not in school anymore. They're more than not they're stable than in like their job. So they go into the doing this experience, because a lot of it's actually that I've been watching is ayahuasca stuff. But they'll go into
Mm,
doing these experiences when they've already kind of gotten down the road a little bit,
yeah.
and now all they're trying to do is figure out themselves. And so they'll go through these experiences and they'll do them, and then they'll like come out as, an evolved version of themselves,
But
but they're
doesn't
just
that
a little
seem
older.
kind of backwards? Like if you're praising that kind of result, like to not like you have to also look at like what if a person who had a super transcendental, transformative, like life-changing experience for the better, right? What if that person had that experience 20 years before, you know?
Well, it's different for everybody. I'm just saying
And
it's the
and
right
you never
time.
figured yourself out. You know what I mean? I guess that's what I'm getting at,
You don't have
is
to
that
figure
it's all
yourself out.
self-discovery, right?
Yeah. You don't have to like have yourself figured out before doing it. It's just know
Yeah.
when it's right for you, right?
Yeah.
Like when I did it with you for the very first time, that was the most perfect moment for me to have ever done that. I'm in the happiest place of my life. I'm with my two best friends, and it was a sunny day. We just got done eating ice cream. Like,
Yeah.
it was a great moment in my life for me to do it. But if I was
Yo, go ahead.
sad and I had nothing going on, there would be no reason for me to do it for me.
You got to break down the story for the people that like they need to hear it. They need go ahead and break it. Give it some context. I'm taking a bong rip real quick. I'm listening.
Well, dude, like a lot of it I don't remember, but like I'll talk about what I remember.
Yeah, go for it.
Um, so like it was this. I don't know what day it was in the week. I want to say it was like a Wednesday, but I don't remember. Um, it was me, Kemper, and our friend Miguel. We had hung out for the day. We went and got burgers and shit, and we were just hanging out. And we had just gotten ice
Mhm.
cream, and we were on the way back to Kemper's place. Miguel was like our designated driver for the day. Um, and then we went back to Kemper's spot. Actually, no, in the car we talked about it, and I remember I said the only time I would ever do mushrooms is with you guys. And then you said, "Well, I've got some at my house." And then we went back to your spot. You
For the
broke
record,
down.
I never said I have nothing at my house.
Yeah, you did. It was
Yeah, I agree
decriminalized at
with
the
that.
time.
This
You're
is
good.
weird hearsay right now. Okay,
No, no, no,
continue.
no, no. Anyways, so you had this chocolate bar at your house, and we get back there, and you break it up. It was like microdosing stuff, and you broke up. It was like you and I took half each. Um, and I don't know how much that is compared to like a different type of like delivery method, but so we took half a candy bar each of this stuff. We were hanging out, and I was a little nervous at first while we were just kind of there at your house. Um, and like we were there, I can't remember how long we were there. We were there for maybe like 30 minutes after we took it. And I remember like as everything was like kind of climbing up, I started feeling the tingling feeling at the
Yeah.
very beginning, and all of a sudden the fan that you had in your room was like catching my attention, and I was just staring at it. And it was like cuz it was blowing like right at me too, and it was kind of swirly. And
Yeah, it rotates all crazy.
yeah, so I was looking at that, and then we leave your house. Miguel is driving again. We're going to Mount Tabor. Um, and the one thing that stuck out the most to me, so Miguel was playing music. I don't know what song was on, but it was like a really vibey song. No, I think you were playing music. It was
I was
some
playing
chick
music.
some
I
I
was
don't know.
playing Janis
Yeah,
Joplin.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So you were
Yeah,
playing
I
that,
was.
and we were driving, and this is
Mhm.
midsummer, so there were no leaves on the ground. But I was looking out, and everything that we were passing had the color of fall. Like the
Mm.
most perfect fall scenery you could imagine in like any movie or anything. What I was seeing it. Like the houses were the color like fall colors, the trees were all fall colors.
It was
And
like Amber.
yeah, like amber, a little bit of yellowish here and there. And
Mhm.
we were just driving, and it was just sunny. The sun was on my face, and it was just fucking beautiful. And we get to the place, and I get out. I try to get out of the car after we park.
Yeah, Mount Tabor.
Yeah, and I'm
Yeah.
fucking I'm I'm
We were on
tipping.
a hill like
Yeah.
this, so when you got out, the whole ground does this
Yeah,
kind of
bro, it was
shit,
fucking
especially
waving,
Zach
dude.
never been this high. I have to kick in here. Before I played Janis Joplin, right, I described to him the feeling of, like, when shrooms are kicking in. I was like, "Do you feel your palms?" I was like, does it feel do you feel
He was
the
my
ebbs and the
guide.
flows through your body?" You know, and I was, like, basically getting him to send his focus and his awareness to, like, different points, so that way he would be very, like, present within his experience and also understand the way he can contextualize it using his emotional state and kind of like um, guiding his intention to allow the best transmission of this trip, you know, and this energy that he's feeling so it can flow, right? And then I play the music and I start playing like Janis Joplin and like Jimi Hendrix and all this kind of shit. So Zach's tripping now, right? He's like, woo, like I'm like,
Well,
look at things. Are they straight? Are they swirling? You know, like does it look different looking out of this window versus looking out of the front window? Things like that, right? Then we get out, and I got this drawstring backpack, and it's like hot, so I got to take my jacket off. And I'm not trying to let him know how hard I'm tripping, because as soon as I got out, it felt like my whole leg went like whoop. Like imagine
well,
like a
dude,
table where you can adjust the leg. It felt like my leg shrunk into my leg, and I was like,
like
oh damn.
you
So
remember
I
I
take the
kept
backpack
saying
off.
stop because I was like freaking out, bro. Like as soon
Yeah,
as you
because I was
showed me the
laughing.
squiggly tree, like that was the first thing that I seen that was genuinely moving. And I
Oh
was like
hell yeah.
at that point, at that point I was like, okay, yeah, we're here almost. And I kept walking, and I would have to say stop because I was like dizzy, or I would like be thinking of some crazy shit. But
It's like disorienting. Yeah.
yeah,
And your emotion gets all weird, but like your body, like I don't know, shrooms can have weird body highs. If you do them, you know.
bro. I the best way I can explain the feeling of the body for me was when I was on like hardcore 50 milligram edibles, like an edible,
Hmm.
50 milligrams. That's how it felt with the body, but I didn't feel slow. So
Mm.
like when I get high, super high, amazing body feeling, and in the back of the head and the neck, everything kind of feels like loose but tingly
Like
at the same time.
ooh, it's like woozy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, you're like you feel like a wave, but
yeah.
it felt like that, but I didn't have the slow feeling like I did with weed. Like I felt like I could still
Mhm.
think on a really like fast pace if I needed to.
Yeah, sometimes your mind can get going too quick, and it's like a circular thought pattern and shit. But
That's how it
you
was,
learn how
dude.
to
I was
navigate.
battling, like I was fighting with my sober self the whole time. Like, dude, I'd
Uh,
be walking, and I'd be like, "Oh, dude, this is crazy," and then all of a sudden there'd be a voice in my head that would say, "Yo, you're high as fuck. You got to collect yourself," and
mhm,
I would do it, and I would become sober for like what felt like 2 seconds mentally, like just I was like, "Oh shit, wait a second, I really am this fucked up. Like this is insane." And I'd be sober and really rational, and then all of a sudden I'd have to say stop, and then I would snap out of it, and I would start enjoying it again. It was
yeah,
crazy.
but it was funny because I never had not the faintest clue of when you would say stop. It was so like sporadic. So we'd just be walking, and all of a sudden Zach would just yell stop, and I'd be
Like
like,
stop.
shit. Like, at first I was like, damn. You know, it was almost like I was in trouble or something. Like he did it so alone. He's like, all right, the
Stop.
hall monitor stopped me or some shit. You know? Yeah.
Oh shit, bro.
But no, it was a hella fun trip. And like when we were up there, like the sun was setting and like there were people on top of Mount Tabor and everybody had come together and like there were different groups. It wasn't like it was all one organized thing, but it was like different
Dude,
groups
this was
throughout. There was a
later in the
dude.
day, yeah.
Yeah, he was walking. This was like once we got to the top of Tabor. He was walking on these like trapeze line almost things, you know, like he set up like a hammock without a hammock.
Yeah.
So it's just the
It was
rope.
he was tightrope
And
walking between trees.
yeah, that's what it was,
Yeah.
tightrope walk. And then there's a dude just doing fucking donuts on his bike, his little like mountain bike around one tree. We were like, damn, this dude's like stuck in the Matrix or some shit. Like
Dude,
it
you
like
know what's
glitched.
crazy to me? Then
Yeah.
almost the entire time that we were up at the top,
Mm.
nobody had a face besides the people who came close to us.
That's
Everybody was
trippy.
faceless. And even when we were walking out, like when we were leaving, nobody had a face to me. I was like looking around and like nobody. It was smooth. I just think smooth skin. You know how like Neo in the Matrix had his mouth covered up with skin? Think about that,
Mm.
but the entire face. Just a flat, like
That's
Enderman face.
hey, you held it together, bro, because that would have probably freaked me out a little bit. But
Well, because I was like, oh shit, this is
once
crazy.
it got dark, there was like a rave and shit. But there were people like running around, like, having like a Nerf war and stuff.
That was
And they
cool.
kept like we were chilling, and this one dude like walked up, and I caught him out of my peripheral, and I turned real quick, and thankfully like my hands didn't come up, like my feet just shifted as I looked over, and like my brain did like almost like like in the Terminator when it like scans.
Yeah, like,
He was
threat
walking
detection.
with a Nerf gun,
Yeah.
and it was like my brain went and was like, okay, nope. And I turned back. I was like, thank goodness, because I'm tripping. You know what I mean? Like that
Yeah.
would be a bad thing. But instead we had this just beautiful, transcendent like trip, and all of
It
us
was a
just sitting
really
and
fun
talking.
day
Yeah,
because,
it's
like,
just a
dude,
genuinely fun time.
one thing that I remember the most, there's two things actually, three. I'll just say three
Okay.
things. So the first one was like earlier in the day as we were getting to the top of Mount Tabor when we were
Hmm.
walking. That hill that I felt like took us forever to climb up. That I felt like that hill was never gonna end. I was,
It was a really
dude,
steep
and I don't
incline.
do cardio very often. So
Yeah.
like I was like, dude, when is this gonna end? I'm done with this shit already. And so I was thinking that, and I thought we were like super deep in the woods because I thought they're like when we were looking up, there's the bathrooms that's right there, and I thought
Yeah.
that was like some weird cabin that was on the trail we were on. But I was like, I completely forgot we were pretty close to like Portland, like downtown Portland. But
Yeah,
like,
we're like right in the middle
yeah,
of
yeah.
Portland. But
So I'm
yeah.
like, and I'm
Yeah.
thinking we're like deep in the woods and shit. But then the other thing that I
That's
wanted,
why you gotta go there when you're tripping, by the
yeah.
way. Because when you're with nature, it balances you out. But go on.
The second thing I want to talk about was the fact that I had no concern of where I was walking, and so I'm legally blind, and I actually got that confirmed today. I'm getting a certificate to prove it, and then from my doctor.
Okay.
Anyways, I'm legally blind, and so I can't see a whole lot. And so I was just walking with zero care in the world. Like I trusted my feet completely to not do anything fucked up. But I also
Mm.
had complete trust in you and Miguel not to let me walk into any crazy shit. And
Mm.
but like, dude, that entire time, especially the walk down afterwards,
Yeah.
I had no care where my foot was going. I just let my feet do their thing. And
Walking a decline is freakier than walking an incline when you're like blinded too,
well, by the time,
because
like, go ahead, sorry.
that depth, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like of your foot hitting something versus hitting nothing. Like
yeah.
especially when you add in your own shrooms and you're tripping really hard. Like that's really cool. Continue.
I think honestly, um, that wasn't that didn't trip me out. Like I was more like I feel like a lot of what I was tripping out about was like mental stuff, like stuff I was thinking about.
Mm.
Um, because like yeah, like my body felt great and I would see certain things and stuff. But when it came to like walking, nothing felt weird. I just trusted myself not to do
Yeah.
anything crazy. And so that was one thing. The last thing was when we actually I guess there's so many more things I want to talk about.
Yeah, there's layers to
Dude,
experience, man. That's for
because
sure.
we skipped over one of the coolest parts. When we
Hit
first
it.
got to Mount Tabor, there was a guy playing music. He was playing his guitar on
Oh
as we were
hell yeah.
walking on the path. And it was the most perfect way to start it because we were feeling good. We were happy. It was still sunny out, and this guy was just playing his
Yeah.
guitar, just letting it go. And
Yeah.
it was so fucking cool. And we climbed up into that tree, and
Mhm.
that's when you put your hand into the never-ending bag. And
Yeah.
dude, that shit was so crazy. And then the next thing I don't remember a whole lot after that. Wow, holy shit, I'm starting to remember a lot now.
So, just so people know, because the never-ending bag just sounds like, "What the fuck?" Let's not gloss over it. It says, "I got in a tree and put my hand in a never-ending bag." What the fuck does that mean?
Okay,
Okay,
okay.
so I
Go
had got out of the car, and when I was talking about my drawstring backpack, I had taken my backpack off to put my hoodie in it, and when I put my hoodie in it, the feeling of, like, the sensation, it just felt like this bag went, like, forever, like, it was a black hole that just, like, ate my hoodie, and I was like, "Alright," and I
It's in
zipped it
there.
and whoop into, like, nothing, just blinked out of this
Yeah.
universe, but no, when we were on Mount Tabor, there's this short tree, it's almost like a banyan tree, and Miguel had gotten in it, and I took this hilarious picture of him because he was standing there
Well, it's
like
a
a
good
cat.
picture.
Well, he goes, "I've never climbed a tree before," and the tree's like I don't know, like a foot and a half
Really
off the
small.
ground. You know, but it's like he had such pride, and when I took it, he goes, "Get the fuck out of here, bro! It looks like a yearbook fucking picture," and it really did look like a senior photo or something.
Yeah, the senior
But
picture.
no, that dude that was playing guitar was, like, jamming some, like, strange acoustic,
It was awesome,
like
dude.
yeah, it was really good, but it was definitely, like, almost alternative, like, melodic,
Yeah,
like, spacey
that was
kinda
really cool.
yeah.
Um, Another thing that I remember on the early part, like just after Guitar Guy, I
Mhm.
remember grabbing onto the because I got off balance and I grabbed onto the cage that keeps you from jumping into the water right there.
Oh,
And it's
okay,
like the
yeah, around the
fence,
reservoir?
the metal fence.
Yeah.
And I grab onto it, and then all of a sudden I feel it just go. So imagine my fingers being the fence. It goes like
Mhm.
this. Just fucking goes
Oh, dude, I was standing there when
crazy.
that happened.
And then it does
Yeah.
that, and then I freak out. I'm like, holy shit. And I see Miguel, he had leaned against it. And I'm like, oh
Yeah.
my God, dude,
You
don't do
felt that
that.
twang go
Yeah.
all the way through
And
it,
it
yeah.
felt like the whole fence just had bended, like just
Yeah.
over. And so that was crazy. And I just
Yeah.
wanted to stand there and just enjoy how I was feeling, but you guys kept making me walk, and I was like, ah,
Yeah,
damn
see,
it.
that was me. Like, I'll anxious walk. I'll put it to you that way. Like, I'll walk all the way the fuck across
I
Portland. I
like to
don't give a
stand
shit.
still when I'm anxious. I like to
Like,
just figure
dude,
myself
it
out.
it takes a lot to remember to release. Like, I I just put it to you that way. Like, remember to release. Because what shrooms like in that trip showed me was like right after that, and we kept walking because the reservoir only has so much space on the like little sidewalk, and
Yeah.
when your like perception's all thrown off and it's like three of us trying to kick it on the sidewalk where people are walking, like it feels weird, and I'm really perceptive of people's energy, right? And so like I had seen someone walk by me, and they were just some kids, but you know how like when teenage kids that are all dressed goofy, like they're on some hippie shit, are like mugging, you know what I mean? I turned and I thought that it was someone I went to high school with, but it
Oh,
wasn't. It was really
bro.
just the hippie kids, right?
Me
So
too.
everything in me was like I had a trip out mode, you know? And once my brain shifted and I literally like when my heart rate elevated, that's when I was like, I have to move. But what it was showing me was how I respond when I feel uncomfortable, you know? And I was like, whoa. Because it's not that you're backed in a corner, but mentally when you have the sensation, like when you have the feeling and you think that you're backed in a corner, right?
Yeah.
How you respond is interesting, you know? Not everybody, it's like fight or flight, and not everybody's on fight mode. But like in that moment, realized I was like, I'm a violent person when I'm in this fragile state, you know?
You know
And I
what's
had to
crazy?
realize, like, whoa, this is a fragile state. And
Yeah.
once that registered within me that, like, that's how I was viewing my experience, on a level of just like that, it let me know I had work to do. Like I had to go back and there was other things that caused me to be this way, you know, because I've been through a lot of different kind of things, just
Mm-hmm.
in life. And so I was like, I gotta look at my experience different, you know?
Yeah.
And that's what I mean to there's like layers to not only consciousness, but the consciousness of a situation, like in within it. So there's present and then there's afterthought, right? But I was realizing this all in one moment. And that's why those like epiphanies are they're so poignant, they stand out like that. And it creates something that's so deep and revolutionary in your life, you know? Because it's not every day that you have um, a moment that's so good that it outweighs traumatizing things that your brain remembers to avoid, you know? And I think it's because when you have a realization like that, it's taking that trauma of that experience, and how you felt. You might have felt violated or vulnerable or whatever it was, exposed in some way. And then it turns it and makes it feel comfortable. And it's the same thing, but it's like the other side of it. You're finally around the edge and you can actually see what it is in a different light and realize, wow, it's like I was looking at the mud and all the like entangled stuff, and I didn't realize it was roots. And what I was really was looking at was a tree. It was just upside down, And now I'm on this side of it. I can see the fruit of it. But before I felt buried and trapped, and it was really just my perspective of it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's one and the same thing.
Yeah.
Did I explain that well enough?
I was doing everything that I possibly could to follow.
Okay. So it doesn't sound like I explained that well enough, but what did you get so I can
Well,
kind
I
of
mean,
see
I'm
what
pretty sure I
what a
got
list
it.
of.
It's gonna be hard for me to explain what I didn't get because it was a whole lot of shit to
Gosh
get.
damn it. All right. So viewers, we're sorry if I just went on a crazy ass tangent. This
Yeah.
is get used to it. I guess this is just what happens if I talk.
Um,
I don't mean to bogart. I've been trying
but
to
the guy that
get
you
better.
talked about, because I remember we had a conversation about this when that happened, when we walked
Yeah.
past that group of kids,
Mhm.
because the face that I seen when I looked at that exact same guy was a guy that I went to high school with, but was my best friend through middle school and like most of high school. He
Mhm.
was my childhood best friend, and that's the face that I seen, and I was like, and we talked about it. I was like, we shared uh, who we seen and stuff like that, and how we felt, and I was like, yeah, that was one thing I was gonna bring up, but yeah, it was pretty
You know what's
crazy.
interesting though? The way that we were standing, it was like my back was to him and I didn't see him until like cuz you were like looking down the fence,
I was
right?
looking at them because we were walking.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And like I don't know, I just don't I feel like I felt them before I saw them,
yeah.
you know? And then so when I saw them with a different like lens. And it just so happened that this person looked very familiar.
Yeah.
But it was all for the greater good. And we wound up going on this crazy ass hike up through the woods because that's really what you're supposed to do. Like, if someone is wanting to learn how to be like a guide for somebody, I may have some like rudimentary, like entry level skills and stuff, but there's some things that are just tried and true. Like, if you go out to nature, that's always a go to because what do plants do, right? They uh they inhale carbon monoxide, carbon
I think it's
dioxide.
carbon dioxide,
Yeah,
CO2.
carbon dioxide. Whatever. You know what I'm talking about. And then they expel oxygen. We inhale oxygen and then expel carbon dioxide. So it's like those two things come into harmony when we're together.
We're just
And
supposed to be in nature in general.
yeah, like nature's just good for us.
Hmm.
It's a beautiful thing. It was created and it's living and it's vibrant
The
and it's good
documentary
for us.
on Netflix called "The
Positive.
Magic Fungi." is an amazing documentary to watch. It's
I better
about
watch.
dude, it's about all types of mushrooms, but they touch on everything about mushrooms and fungi. It's amazing.
But what I wanted to touch on was shared experience,
Okay.
and that's what I was getting at about like going back over those kids and that group of kids that we encountered, even though we had two different experiences, it went along a similar like wavelength.
Yeah.
I've had other experiences where I've literally like visually seen something and then my friend described what I was seeing without me telling him,
Damn.
you know? And like I'm not the only person that that's happened to,
Yeah.
you know? That's commonality throughout like a lot of people's experience. So when you look at being a, a guide or like a partner, a companion in someone's like travel through discovering themselves, and you in turn are discovering yourself too. It's not like one person's up here and one person's down here. It's like learning how to make everything this way and feel this way and experience on a level where it's like we harmonize and bounce off each other in the proper ways, and
Mm.
act as like a beacon to bring rather than me coming down here. It's like you just I gave you a boost, like I gave you some game to what you were about to feel that brought you up here, so you had a way to kind of contextualize your experience.
It's just that you helped me understand it. Help me figure out what I needed to think about in a very simple way. Like that's how you made me feel.
Which is cool because I didn't tell you how to think,
Yeah, you just told me how
I
to
knew
figure it out.
yeah, your experience is going to tell you what you need to know. So as far as that, like that's totally interpersonal. I'm just here to just let you know, like, love you, bro. Let's do this. Like, what are you seeing? Have fun. There's cool shit. There's rainbows or sunlight coming through the trees or whatever it may be.
Hmm. Yeah, it was a fun experience. I would definitely
Yeah,
do it again.
for sure. It makes me look at other things differently because like acid is a really cool drug, but I haven't really fully experienced it with someone else.
Yeah.
It was more just like me taking it and then being there, you
Hmm.
know? But it's really cool when it's like, or it's gotta be really freaking cool when you sync on that level, because that's like a whole nother energy thing. And I don't want this to be like a negative thing or people think that I'm like promoting all types of fucking shit that'll make people crazy. Like, you gotta know yourself before I get up to
Exactly.
do, you know, it's like you just gotta know yourself. And if you're someone who doesn't find value in these kinds of experiences or want to live that kind of life or believe it, like by all means, like your feeling, your thought, your everything is valid. Um, and I respect that. I just got to use my voice and speak from my experience as myself, because I think part of being a man is like as you go forward and you experience life and you experience things that are they could be volatile, and that
Yeah.
people are going to encounter. It's your duty to go forward and learn how to repair yourself so you're not continuing this like vibration. Um, and then telling people like, hey, it's okay, it's not that scary, and giving them a little bit of like game on how to navigate it, because they're gonna fill in the blanks. It's like um, I listened to this dude who's an Amway speaker, and he said it's like a grocery store. That's what these seminars are when you come to them. And people treat podcasts like seminars nowadays, right? And when you come to them, it's like you don't take everything home from the grocery store. You just take what you need because you know you can come back, you know?
Hmm.
And media is given this new platform to us where we have a way to come back. And it's really cool. So we can learn what's for us, what's not for us. what this experience is, what that opinion is, and take it from there. And you'll get respect no matter what you choose. If you choose something crazy as hell, there's people that'll love you for it. You choose something that's absolutely sane, people will hate you for it. Like you can't, you know, it's crazy. They were talking about, I think Chris Pratt it is being like Christian and people hating on him for being Christian.
He's Republican, and that's what it was. It's not that he's
Oh,
Christian.
well, whatever it is, you know what
Yeah,
I mean?
I'm
It's
pretty sure
like
it's because he's Republican.
I think I think it was because he was Christian. But all I know is that's like that's crazy.
It
You
is.
know, there's no need for that. As long as you're a good person, you're not out here doing wrong, intending wrong, and doing things like that. We're all it's all love, and it's cool that you're not friends with everybody. Like I don't think we're made to help everybody.
No.
I think our experiences become like a bridge, and over this like bridge, we can then see in someone else something that we went through, and this bridge of experience allows us to communicate and to help one another. I think some people are just vibrations don't match, and so it's cool. If you think I'm an asshole, I'm glad we're not friends,
Yeah.
and just take it like that. And because I think success is a key hidden in another person's pocket. And I mean that in like, that's how grace recycles. Someone who's been there before recognizes something in you and they hand something to you and they're trying to get somewhere else. So as they're handing something down to you, something is coming into this hand. It's almost like you're reaching down and you're reaching really far. And so you have to like balance yourself. This hand balances you of you reaching for something else and striving for something else. And boom, you give this key away and the next key comes to you. And it's like in the trust of giving that, and just the act of giving, there's
Yeah.
a affirmation that you're infinite. It's saying, I know something more will come. If I thought this was the one and only, it'd be really hard for me to give it to you.
That's true.
But the even greater test is if you think this is the one and only, can you give it away? And I think that's what people talk about when they talk about love, and they're like, if you love something, set it free or whatever. But I'd be crazy as hell. I don't believe in that fucking shit. Oh, I gotta show you too.
What you got for me?
Oh, I gotta show you too. People don't know how we're coming, but we treat Christmas good. Serious, 'cause Santa's coming. So I went down to the Dollar Tree and I got a little mailbox just to let them know Santa's here, you heard? Ho, 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 you feel me? Check it
You
out.
fucking dork.
And from the Dollar Tree, what do we got? Oh, if you've been naughty, you get some coal, some chocolate coal. Just be classic. We got the Pop Rock. Now, a lot of people you might not know this, but for $2, you can get unlimited free Frosty like at one Wendy's every single day for 2022 for $2. It means you pull up, you say, "Hey, I want my Frosty." They give you your Frosty. It's not a big ass Frosty. It's a healthy person's daily dose of fucking Wendy's goodness. And I just want you to know.
Bro, you got too like about that. You're like, it's a daily dose of Wendy's goodness. Now go get your fucking healthy Frosty right now.
We got the two best colors in here, the greens and the reds.
Wait, do you fuck with blue?
Um, when it comes to Sour Patch Kids, not like I fuck with the green and the red.
Damn, bro, you're the second person I know who doesn't really fuck with blue Sour Patch Kids.
Yeah, they're just not the best, bro. It's that synthetic blue flavor. I need that blue frosty flavor. You know what I mean? The
Nah,
icy.
dude, I fucks with
When you're
blue.
at the
Like blue
movies,
raz.
yeah, but when you have the blue raspberry icy at the movies, there's nothing better blue raspberry flavor than that. I don't give a
I don't really
fuck.
fuck with those.
But bro, I'm gonna put this up in the hallway, and that's how I'm gonna give my brother and Alex and Maya their little like treats. You know, they don't even know what's actually coming to them because Santa's coming to town. You gotta remind people to keep it magical. For real, no, like as an adult, you gotta do stuff that's like fresh for yourself. And I show you this because I'm doing what I can right now. Normally, I buy like everybody gifts. This year, money's been tight. And so I did that for the people that I love. But when we got more money, we're putting thought in this stuff. Like, look, I did that in like under $10. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
That's a cold gift basket for under $10 that'll make someone feel special. And so just think about what we can do in the future with the proper funding, you know? So that way
Yeah.
we can, for $10 a month, really give you something awesome, because that's where our brains are going. So even if it sounds like hocus pocus right now, someday our focus, our grind, what we put in, what we want to create, and the next level of engagement with content that we're doing is really gonna be there, and it's gonna reach out to you guys and promote you for being engaged and enthusiastic about what we do in the content that we make. And so we've also made a Discord server. If people want to get in it on the early, you totally can. Our whole thoughts are we're going to create a little commentary section. So for every episode, if there's anything we've touched on that you want to actually engage with, there will be a place for you to have more of a forum based style discussion that'll stay up to date and relevant, you know, with the
Link in the
episodes.
bio
Link in the bio.
down there.
Check it out. And
It's also on our
yeah,
website.
we're
Wonderfully
just trying to
attended.
do the best that we can to really revolutionize the way that people um, watch and engage with content. So expect more in the future. Often we might do some like classes or shit like that that can really be uplifting, and maybe it'll be like a Q&A. I've wanted to do something with my mom for a little bit, so that way if there's any like ladies out there that are listening that might have some questions, um, it'd be cool that you can ask someone who's really cool, who's respectable. My mom's helped raise like the whole neighborhood. Everyone knows she's fed all the bros, you know what I mean? Like all the little homegirls love my mom and shit. So yeah, I think it would be a cool just next level step that we can take. And so expect lots of different kind of spitballing to turn into something down the line as we go.
Yeah, dude. It's gonna be great.
Yep. So that's the plan. We're working on it. We're trying our best. We're an army of two, just trying to do the best we can. So any backing that we can get, we're trying to sponsor other creatives too. You know, there's tons of our friends, like say like little Josh out in South Carolina,
Oh,
killing
for
it.
sure.
Even though he's like 6'3" and I call him little.
He's six
But
two.
it
Yeah.
yeah. But if we could get him to the point where like, you know, he doesn't go and veer his life into trial and error, we can keep him on the like straight and narrow path while still being able to get off there by doing it in a creative way and having an outlet, you know. And I have so many friends that are close to me, like Portland's crazy, that I look at and I'm like, man, I gotta reach out and engage with not just the people that are like my age group, but the little homies too that have gotten older, you know, and choose to see them as peers and try to engage with them in ways that'll cross pollinate and promote things. Because that's what Dawn Talk is, you know, this is like boss talk. And I just can't wait to get more and more bosses involved, because what we're going to be able to do collectively is so much more than us just sitting here and sharing these ideas. But these ideas are the gateway, and it's important. That's
Yep.
what's going to get us there. But I guess that'll put a wrap on her.
Boom.
Thank you. If you've listened till the end, you're a real one. We got nothing but love for you. I hope you enjoy it. Like, subscribe, do your thing. Join the Discord, whatever your flavor is. We're going to get you. We'll reach out to you. Peace.